Are exceptions the same in all languages? Sort of. You're going to get the same flavor of exceptions. Runtime exceptions are generally classifiable. They're generally similar. Not every language has exceptions and exception handling. So right there's a difference. But certain languages are going to have specific exception types, and how they're organized are going to be different. So we can take a look at Python's exception handling, their standard exceptions. If I can click on this, escape out. Let me come over here, and let's click on that over here. Skip verification. I'll pull this over. And you can see that we've got concrete examples, right? End of file error, floating point error, import error, index error, where's OS errors, right? And then we can come down and we can see all of these are exceptions. System exit, type error. And then we can even see like OS exceptions. Hey, blocking IO error or connection error or broken pipe or an interrupt error, right? So file not found error, all these things are types of exceptions, and these are subclasses of our OS error. There are all sorts of, you can see the entire exception hierarchy down here if you want. And you can see a broken pipe error is a subclass of a connection error, which is a subclass of an OS error, which is a subclass of an exception. This hierarchy is going to be different depending on what language you're working in. Okay? And then we also have these warnings. What are warnings? Warnings are things that your interpreter or compiler will tell you about that are not problems now, right? One of the classics is deprecation error, which means something's going away. Hey, in the future, our input function is going away because we found a critical error with it. It's not that big a deal, but it's a big enough deal. So we're just going to replace it with something called in. And through Python 4, input will still exist. But by the time we get to Python 5, we're getting rid of this. And it's only going to be in, no input. So code that comes out will warn you, hey, input has been deprecated. Please switch to the more recent function in, or something like that. And that way you're warned ahead of time, hey, some of this code is no longer most up to date. We're giving you a little time to fix it. You don't have to fix it now, but fix it soon. That's what a warning is. Any language with exceptions also has warnings. Many languages without exceptions have warnings. Those are compiler warnings typically. But you can specify them in Python as well. So, is that it? No, it depends on the libraries that you use. Those of you who came through CISC 120, CISC 140, know that image display manipulation was using Pygame. So you were getting Pygame exceptions. And if you mouse over this, you can see, hey, there's all the Pygame errors. Here's the PyODBC. That's how Python connects to a database, ODBC. NumPy, right? You can see all of these have their own libraries for the errors and exceptions. And they represent exceptions that only those libraries can raise. Huh. Does that mean we can make our own exceptions? Absolutely. What you do is you find an exception that represents a good base class, and you just extend it. And there's a methodology here to extend it. Or, and I will show you through this file here, that you can just import exceptions and extend them. And this is what they do, right? Hey, for lab 3, we're going to have an exception that is a stack exception. Import stack exception, right? This is what we would do. But we also might have a subclass of that stack exception that's an empty stack exception. That is totally legal. But wait, pass? That's it? Pass? That's all it does? Well, yeah, because what we will do is we could raise a stack exception and we'll get it. And look, it tells you what it is. This is the important fact, and we'll see why that is so crucial in a moment. Or we can even give raise empty stack exception. This stack is totally empty, right? And this error message is super useful. It shows up, and this gives the user more context. Hey, it's an empty stack exception. Why? So maybe you don't say this. Maybe what you say is the stack is empty, right? Empty stack exception is telling you, hey, the stack's empty. Cannot remove from an empty stack. And that gives the user more context on what is happening and why.